Welcome to this beginner-friendly tutorial of how to make this pattern in Procreate. To start off, we're going to use a square canvas. So to do this, tap on the plus in the top right-hand corner and you'll see a default option for square. When you tap on it, it will automatically open your new canvas. These are the colours that you'll need, and I've listed the RGB codes in the description below. To add a value, just tap on the value section and you'll see where you can enter the codes on the right-hand side. Just type in each corresponding number for each different setting. And then to save it, just tap on an empty square on your palette. The order of the colours here is the order that we're going to use them in. So we're going to start off with the blue colour. The first thing we're going to do is fill in the bottom layer. So select blue, and as you can see, layer 1 is automatically selected. Drag and drop from the colour wheel to the canvas to fill in this area. The next thing we're going to do is create a new layer. So tap on the two squares in the top right corner and the plus symbol. This then creates layer 2. Next, we're going to turn on the drawing guide. So select the wrench, which is the actions panel, toggle on the drawing guide and select edit drawing guide. We're going to go to the symmetry section and then click on the options. Select radial and then turn on rotational symmetry and make sure assisted drawing is also on, and then click done. Now it's time to select the brush. So go to your brush library, find the calligraphy section and select the monoline brush. Tap on your colours and select the pink colour, which is next in line. Now increase the brush size to about halfway, which is around the 20% mark. Now we're just going to draw our petal shape in one of the sections. It's kind of like a long heart shape, but you want to make sure that there's a little bit of a gap in between each petal, like this. And you want the middle lines to be touching ever so slightly to create the centre. If you make a mistake, you can tap with 2 fingers to undo it and start again. So once you've redrawn your petal shape and you're happy with how it looks, you're going to drag from the colour wheel again and fill in these petals. Now we're going to work on layer 3. So to do this, tap on the layers and select the plus to create your new layer. We need to turn on drawing assist and clipping mask. So tap on the layer, turn on drawing assist and tap it again and select clipping mask. Clipping mask means that whatever we draw will stay within the lines of the layer below and it won't go outside those lines. Now tap on your colours and select the next darkest colour, the brown. Turn up your brush size to around 50%. And now we're going to draw a long V like this. We're going to use the smudge tool to create this effect. So tap on the finger and then we're going to tap on it again to open up the library, go to airbrushing and select the soft blend brush. We're going to use small circular motions to blend in this area, so make sure your brush size is quite small, around 3 or 4%. Start at the top and then just work your way all the way along the line until you're happy with how your shading looks. So if you smudge from dark to light, the area will get darker, and if you smudge from the light area into the dark area, that area will get lighter. So as you can see, I'm just working all the way along, making sure everything looks nice and blended. This bit might take a minute or 2 to get right, and don't forget that if you make a mistake, you can tap with 2 fingers to undo. So just keep going until you're happy with how it looks, and then we're going to move on to the next section, which is the highlights. So the first thing we need to do is select white, so go to your colours and select the white colour, which is the 4th one in line. Now we're going to make another new layer, so tap on the layers, tap on the plus, and we're going to turn on drawing assist and the clipping mask again. So the drawing assist just makes sure that we draw the same thing in every segment. We're still using the monoline brush, so decrease the size a little bit to around 15% and draw 2 little arches on top of the petals like so. Instead of using the smudge tool, we're going to use the Gaussian blur tool. So tap on the wand, which is the adjustments panel at the top of the screen, and select Gaussian blur. Now just slide your pencil to blur these to about 7 or 8% until they're nicely blended. And that's our first layer of our flower complete. Next, we're going to start duplicating and editing the colour for the next layer of the flower. The first step in this process is to merge our flower layers together. So tap on the layers and then pinch the layers together that you want to merge. Just in case you missed that, let's have another look. So you select the top layer that you want to merge, and together with the bottom layer, you squeeze them all together with a pinch of 2 fingers. Now all of these items are on one layer. Now you can duplicate this layer by swiping left and hitting duplicate. Tap on the adjustments panel again and select hue, saturation and brightness. We're going to use the brightness selector to make this slightly lighter shade of pink. Once you're happy with the colour, select the cursor and then make sure uniform is selected on the bottom. Drag from the top right corner to decrease the size, and then use the guide in the middle to center the flower against the original layer. It's easier at this stage to make sure snapping and magnetics are both toggled off. Now tap on the green dot at the top and rotate the flower around to the right hand side. Keep going until the dip in the top layer matches the gap on the bottom layer. Now tap the cursor again to deselect it. Now we're going to repeat this process again for the last petal layer. So duplicate layer 2, select the adjustments panel, hue, saturation and brightness, and we're going to increase the brightness slightly again to make the lightest colour of pink. Tap on the cursor, make sure uniform is still selected, decrease the size and centre it into the middle. Now tap on the green dot and rotate it again and make sure the dip in this layer is matched up with the gap in the previous layer. Then select the cursor again to deselect them all. Now that the base of the flower is complete, we can turn off the drawing guide by selecting actions and toggling it off, as we don't need it anymore. And now we're going to start with the middle of the flower. To start this, tap on the layers and create a new layer, and this time we don't want drawing assist or clipping mask on. We're going to keep white and the monoline brush but decrease the size to about 2 or 3%. Now starting in the middle, just draw the lines outward like I'm doing here, all the way around so they form a circle shape. They don't have to be perfect, but if you do notice that at the ends that they're slightly crooked or you can't get the line straight, there is a quick fix. So to fix this, tap on your brushes and select the monoline brush. Go into stabilization and increase the stabilization amount to around 50% and then click done. This will make your lines a lot more streamlined and they won't go crooked at the end. Now just continue to work your way all the way around like I'm doing here. They don't all have to be the exact same length or go the exact same distance. Just curve some of them outwards, make some of them straight and keep going all the way around, and even some of them can overlap too, that's fine. There's really no perfect way to do this, just do whatever you think looks good. Once you have them all done, tap on the layers and create a new layer. And we're going to make this layer a clipping mask. So tap on the layer and click clipping mask. Now go into your colours and select the last colour, which is the grey colour. Increase the brush size all the way up to max, and like I'm doing here, just draw around the centre of the white stems you just drew. As you can see, because we have clipping mask on, it's only showing on the layer below. Now select adjustments and Gaussian blur and slide to blur it so that it's all blended. This just creates a little shadow in the middle. You can deselect adjustments, and now we're going to move on to the next step. So select the colour pink and you can decrease the size of your monoline brush again, down to around 15%. At this point you can actually merge these two layers together, so just swipe them together to merge, and then create a new layer for the next part. So now we're just going to draw the end of each stem, and actually you'd probably want to make the brush size just a little bit bigger, to about 20%. So just draw at the end of each stem like I'm doing here, one little short line, until you've drawn them all the way around. And don't forget that if you make a mistake at any time, you can just tap with 2 fingers to undo and then keep going. The next step, once we're finished this part, is to add shadows underneath each layer. So once you have this part complete, tap on the layers and merge these 2 last layers together. At this point in the drawing, we should now have 5 layers in total. So now let's zoom back out and get started on the shadows. The first thing we're going to do is duplicate all of the flower layers. So swipe left on each layer and click duplicate. So at the end of this step, you should have 9 layers in total. I also just realized I didn't add black in as one of the colors that we need. So to do this, just tap on the color wheel, go to disk, and then drag the color all the way to the bottom to select black. And then you can just tap it into the palette to save it. Once you have black selected, tap on the bottom layer of each set and click select. Then make sure color fill is turned blue, which means it's on. What that does is it colors in the entire layer, everything that is selected. We're going to blur these in a minute, but for now, just repeat this step on the bottom of each pair. So tap on the layer, click select, and it'll automatically color fill that layer. And as you can see here, it turns it black. So Make sure you're doing this on the bottom layer of each pair, and although it doesn't look like anything is changing on the canvas, it's just changing underneath and you'll be able to see it in a minute. The next thing we're going to do is reduce the opacity on each of the black layers, because as you can see, the layers are very dark and would make very dark shadows. So tap on the N and slide the scale down to around 50% for each layer. This just makes it a little bit more see-through. Repeat this process all the way down on every black layer to around 50%. And then once that's done on each layer, we're going to blur them to make the shadow effect. So once that's all done, we're going to go back up to the adjustments panel and select Gaussian blur. Now just slide across until you get to about 5 or 6%, and that'll create the shadow effect. If you want darker shadows, you can increase your opacity again, or if you like lighter shadows, you can decrease it. But what we're going to do is just repeat this step for every black layer, selecting Gaussian blur and sliding to around 5 or 6% on each layer. It's up to you, but you may want to slide slightly less on the last layer because of the thickness of the stems. Once we have that done, we're going to select all of the layers at once to move them at the same time to create an offset shadow effect. So to do this, swipe right on every layer that has a shadow on it, and it'll select them all at the same time by highlighting them in blue. Now if you move them, it'll move every layer at the same time. So select the cursor, make sure uniform is selected, and we're just going to drag down and to the left slightly to give it a more pronounced shadow effect. If you make a mistake, just tap reset and you can go again. Again, there's no perfect way to do this, it's just whatever you think looks good yourself. Tap the cursor once you're done, and then that completes the flower portion of this drawing. The next thing we're going to do is turn it into a pattern. To start this process, we want to merge everything so that it's on the same layer. So do this, pinch all of the layers together that have any element of the flower on it. Now you'll be left with just 2 layers. Now we want to create a group, so swipe right on the lower layer and tap group. Now we can treat these 2 separate layers as one, while still keeping the elements separate. The next thing is to duplicate this group 4 times. So swipe left on the group, click duplicate, and do this so you have a total of 5 groups. Now go to Actions and the Drawing Guide and click on Edit Drawing Guide. This time we want to select 2D Grid and increase our grid size all the way up to max. Then click Done. Now select the cursor, go down to Snapping and turn on Magnetics and Snapping. Now one group at a time, we're going to drag each layer to create our patterned effect. So with the first group selected, tap the cursor with uniform on, and from the bottom right corner, move it up towards the top left corner. You should see yellow lines as it snaps into place. And the lines should line up evenly with the grid lines. Now we're going to repeat this process for each corner of the grid. So select your next group, tap on the cursor, and from bottom left to top right, slide that group of layers until they snap into place. Now select the third group and do the exact same thing, working from top right to bottom left. If you make a mistake like I did here, just tap the reset button and then slide it down to the bottom left. Just tap on your layers, select your fourth group, and then from top left to bottom right, slide it down so your canvas looks like this and everything is snapped into place. Now we're going to merge these top 4 groups, but we'll leave one group on the bottom with its own flower. Now what we're going to do is erase the middle of this layer to reveal the flower underneath. So tap on your eraser icon, tap on the monoline brush, and we're just going to make it a bit bigger to speed up the process. So with properties, increase the maximum size and then click Done. This just means it's quicker to erase the blue layer on top. So starting in the middle, work your way around until you've revealed the whole flower, but be careful not to erase any of the flowers on the top layer. So just go slowly and zoom in where you need to make sure you haven't missed anything. And as you can see now, when we look at the layer, all you've done is erase the middle part of that top layer. And because the background layer is the same, it all looks like the same layer. So just zoom in to be sure, like I am here, that you haven't missed any of that original flower. And once you're happy that you have it all, tap on the layers again and merge everything together. Now we're going to duplicate this layer 3 times so you have a total of 4. Now instead of sliding each layer off the canvas, we're going to minimize each layer so that it fits in each square of the grid. Make sure all 4 corner dots are visible, and then one at a time, grab one and drag it to the center until it snaps into place with the yellow lines. Then tap on the layers, select the next one, and repeat the process, tapping the cursor and dragging the dot to the corner so it snaps into place. And this process basically gets repeated until you have the scale of pattern that you want. As you can see here, if you take away the grid line, everything matches up perfectly. So now the last one, tap it, select the cursor and drag the dot to the center of the canvas. And it's all perfectly lined up together. If you want to repeat the process again, merge all the layers, duplicate it 3 times, and then repeat the same thing again. Make sure all your corners are visible and then drag each corner into the center of the canvas until it snaps into position with those yellow lines. And you can really repeat this as many times as you want to get the correct scale. So tap on the last layer, tap on the cursor, and drag that last dot into the center until it snaps into position. Then you can go to these actions, turn off your drawing guide, and you'll be able to see that you have a seamless pattern. If you feel like you learned anything at all from this tutorial, please like and subscribe. And I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks very much, and I'll see you next time.